As quickly as you can, snatch the pebbles from my hand. When you take the pebble from my hand, it will be time for you to leave.
Then I was looking for the best people to train with.
Right.
And it really didn't matter where they were. I've trained with Guy Mesger. I've trained a little bit with Tito Ortiz. I've trained with Rampage. I've
Wow.
trained with Saxon Janjira out of Dallas. I mean, I've like so many people that I've trained with, man. And it was weird because I come from a small town. I come from Sherman, Texas, very small town. And it was only a few people that were doing it back then. And I had to get with I even got with some traditional karate dudes who, did like the PKA style kickboxing. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was trying to get it all, man. I was trying to get every little bit of help I could. And the first dude that I actually hooked up with that was really, really big on the scene and doing things, and he was big in Texas MMA, and he was black, was Eve Edwards.
Wow.
That,
Wow.
that was a dude that I looked up to, and we ended up having to fight each other. It's funny. We ended up having to fight each other.
What's up, Dragons? Your Seafood is back for another one for today. Your boy Roy Robb has Pete Spratt. That's right, Pete Spratt, the legend, a mixed martial arts legend, on today's podcast. Get ready. And another self-promotion time. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Now let's get into some martial arts. We are back, Dragons, with another one coming your way. Your Seafood for the day. Roy Robb is back in the building with a very special guest. I don't have to say too much to let you know that we have a legend on the other end of this mic. Basically, this brother has done so much for the game. He has helped so many individuals follow their dream and move forward and progress forward. I'm all about perseverance and being that better person. So coming to us is an unbelievable person who is about to explain his why. My man. So tell us, man, who is Pete, man? Tell us about yourself. Who is that?
Well, man, I used to get asked this question before I got in the game, and because I was pretty athletic, playing football, basketball, high school, running track. Went to college on a football scholarship and all of that stuff. And people used to say, so really, who are you, man? Who are you? I said, man, I'm just a regular old dude that's doing extraordinary things. So if you looking at me like a celebrity or anything like that, I mean that's nothing to me. That's secondhand to me. I said, really, I'm just a regular old dude, and because of my athletic ability and my talent, I'm in the spotlight. That's it.
Man, that's pretty humbling words for your accomplishments, though. People dream to have done one thing that you might have. I mean, it's people that basically said, I mean, I've done my homework on my own, but I mean, I could tell you, even to say I've been on the Ultimate Fighter show, just that little basic thing. Like, I've done some homework, and when you start lining up all these accomplishments, okay, before we jump into all that, okay, Pete Spratt, what do they call you? I know what they call you, but what do they call you in the ring?
They call me the secret weapon.
The secret weapon.
And how I got that is when I first started on the game, I would go anywhere to fight. It didn't matter if it was on 2-3 days notice or a week notice or whatever the case may be. I would go anywhere. So I went to Denver a few times fighting in Denver. Nobody knew who I was. And for some reason, every show I would provide the most exciting fight on the show. And so I overheard someone in the crowd say, that must be the promoter's secret weapon, because this dude, he come out of nowhere and just be banging. And so that's how I got the name, and that's how it stuck.
Man, I feel like back in the day, people would take risk, and I don't know if people take the same type of risk that provides that same excitement. Like I would watch some of them old fights, and even if I saw you fight, like even at just the difference of it looked, even if you were in a boxing ring, Like there's no cage to stop you. Like people could
Yeah.
go through like Rampage, like you, there's certain fighters that could take a risk and be like, dude, people don't do it. It's very safe right now. Is that a fair statement?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a first statement. Like today, back then, we was fighting because we enjoyed it. It was something that we love to do. But today it's a business.
It's
And
a
ain't
business.
nobody, yeah, nobody's willing to risk their record because of the business part of it.
Yep.
Like I'm gonna tell you, man, I'm gonna tell you one time, me and Yvette we were on the same team, right? So we were trying to figure out, all right, who gonna fight at the 175 division? Is it gonna be me? Is it gonna be me? So we flipped a coin. So I had to go up to 85 to fight. You know how I made 85? I put some weights in my pockets before I stepped on the scale. That's how it was back in the day. I put
Oh
some
my
weight.
God.
I put some weights in my pockets to step on the scale to make it to the 185 weight class.
That's crazy. By itself, just thinking about that. And now it's dangerous as hell to say I'm finna go up and fight. And I don't care what nobody says. That's a dangerous move. You got to really have a lot of heart. Like I used to box, and that's only I boxed at light heavy. And when I got in the ring with a super heavy, thinking it was easy game because I thought I was gonna be that much quicker. When that dude
Yeah,
hit me with that left, it was no joke.
yeah, yeah.
that's, that's
It's crazy.
dangerous, man.
Yeah,
Man,
it's crazy, man. I got real quick. I got another story. So we was in Houston training, and one a couple of our guys were fighting on this kickboxing match. So we're on the bus, we're on the van headed to the kickboxing match. The promoter called. He was like, "Hey man, we lost a fighter. Do you have anybody that can take this fight at like 180?" And Eve looked at me. He was like, "Pete, you want to fight?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, but I ain't got no shorts. I ain't got no cup. I ain't got nothing." He was like, "We'll take care of it when we get there." I
what?
said, "All right, well, it's good. It's a good thing I brought my mouthpiece with me then." And I took a fight on what 20 minutes notice and didn't
Dude,
have no gear.
that's crazy. Like, and even thinking about that, man, it's like it just doesn't seem real because it's a preparation now. Weeks, months,
Yeah, yeah.
there is no I'm gonna take anything short notice. People are scared of that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Back then it was anytime, anywhere, any place.
Wow, man. All right, so let's start day one. When was your first fight? At what age?
I was 20. Well, my first fight was in 90, 98, 99. So that puts me, I think I was around 20, 25, 24, 25.
And who was that first fight? Was it a memory that you'll never forget?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was a dude named Keith Sutton. And we were actually I had a couple of homeboys that was gonna be fighting. And they asked me if I wanted to fight. I was like, yeah, I'll try anything once. So we got it booked or whatever. And it was gonna be a tournament. It was in Killeen, Texas. The promoter was Shannon Rich. So we go to Killeen, and the promoter was gonna try to make us pay $25 to be in the tournament. It was like a four-man tournament.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hold on, man. I ain't paying. I'm not paying you to fight. Like, now we're gonna have to come up with something a little better than that. So anyway, we figured that I ain't have to pay. So I fought this kid named Keith Sutton. So back then in Texas, you couldn't close fists to the face. So it's pancrase rules. So it's open hand to the face, but you can kick and knee a dude in the face and knee a dude in the ground and knee a dude on the ground in the face back then. So it was at this bar in Killeen, Texas called the Wild Rose. I'll never forget. The bouncers had on like tuxedo shirts and bow ties with cowboy hats and Wranglers, tight ass Wranglers too, with the big belt buckle. So yeah, man,
Oh shit.
I got in there, man, and I like to do that with an open heel strike, palm strike in the first round. and then I was hooked after that. And what's funny is Fujita from Pride and Don Fry was there. So Don Fry was cornering Fujita, but Fujita fought under the alias Sato. And I'm looking at this dude. I'm like, I know I've seen this dude before somewhere. You know, big old Japanese dude with his ears ate up like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
I know this dude. I've seen this dude somewhere. So about a month later, I'm watching Pride. Sure enough, there they go. They announced him. I was like, that's the dude that was fighting in Khalid. I'm like, his name ain't Sato.
Damn, dude, that's a story to go down in history, bro. How did he do that night? Did he win too?
Oh, he won. He smoked him. He smoked two dudes in one night. It wasn't even a question. It was easy.
Golly, dude. All right, so now you had your first fight. You got these memories. Now I was like, I'm on to this. This is something I want to do.
Yeah, yeah. Like the feeling I
Well,
got.
and now this is different time. Like there was no mixed martial arts like it is now. Who you were training like primarily one style?
Oh, it was NHB back then. So you know, I was doing some. I never did any wrestling. Uh, we would do some submission grappling or whatever. But I had already boxed and done traditional martial arts anyway during that
Right.
time. I was boxing. I was boxing while I was playing football in college to stay in shape during the off season.
All right.
So I was
Okay.
already boxing. I mean, I fought Golden Gloves as a junior in college during
Okay.
the spring. So I was already boxing and stuff like that. So my hands and stuff was already on point. It was just a matter of being able to avoid the takedown and trying to knock somebody's head off.
Right.
So, but yeah, man, it was crazy, man. It was so fresh and it was so new. And I remember watching the first UFC. I was a junior. No, first UFC was in '92. I was a freshman in college. I'm looking at that. I said, I would never, ever do that shit right there. No way. Never say
Look at you.
never.
Never say never. Golly. Now speak to the evolution of the game because at some point you said, okay, it's time. You got notice. I major fight with Robbie Lawler, and you got that invite to the UFC. Is that right? Is that correct?
Repeat that.
You had a major fight with Robbie Lawler, and then you
Yeah.
got that invite to the UFC. Is that the kind of the transition
No,
that
no,
happened?
no. Robbie was my third fight in the UFC.
Oh, get out of here!
Robbie was my third fight. Um,
I mixed that all up. So how did you get that invite to the UFC? What transpired to all that?
so I vaguely remember even how I got into the UFC. I know that I was on their radar.
Okay.
Uh, I think I was 10-4. I was 10-4. I had beat a couple of named dudes. Uh, One name in particular was Ronald June out of Hawaii. Um, but I was already on the radar. So this is 2 years. This is 2 years into my career because I wrote it down. I had taken this seminar or whatever. And they say, you know, write down your goals, write down the game plan, how you're going to get there, and give yourself a certain amount of time to get there and achieve these goals. So I gave myself a 2-year plan, and I said I want to be in the UFC 2 years into my career, and it happened. So I think I might have been on a 4 or 5 fight winning streak, and they were already on the radar. It was like, you know, look, if you win this fight, we'll probably bring you in. And
Wow.
so I won because my manager was in contact. My manager Sven Bing, he was in contact with Joe Silva quite a bit, you know, trying to get me there because my stablemate Dwayne Ludwig was already in the UFC.
Wow. Got you.
So that's how they put the radar on me. I just had to make sure I didn't mess up by losing a couple of fights to mess up my opportunity.
Did you feel at that time it was going to become what it is now? Like back then, there was hardly no payments. There was no. It was small money compared to what it is now. You know what I mean?
Um, did I think it would evolve to what it is today? No. Um, but it's funny. we'll get into it in a little bit, I guess, once we get to the part of how I got on the Ultimate Fighter or whatnot. But yeah. No, I had no idea that it would be this multi-billion-dollar company at this
Right.
particular.
Right,
Yeah,
right. So this is roughly 2002, 2000.
my UFC debut.
Yeah.
E- yeah, 0203, somewhere off in there.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm thinking back. So in 2003, because it's almost like 98 was that first 97, 98 should have been UFC 1 if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around that time, right? That was around that
No,
first
90, 92.
92 was UFC 1 with Hoyler? Not Hoyler, Hoist with Hoist?
Voice. 92. No, 93 was the first one.
Okay, I just
I think,
remember.
yeah.
You know what? The video came out. I'm thinking about the video because it was in mass
Ah,
production. I'm
yeah,
thinking about
yeah,
the
yeah.
video. Like, I mean, it might have been going down, but nobody that boom, everybody found out. I'm thinking because I remember I graduated in '98, and I remember seeing this circulation of this video, and
Oh,
everybody. That's why I'm mentally thinking about
yeah.
it. Okay,
And
okay.
now 93, not like 93 was the first UFC in Denver, Colorado.
Your call up. I would call it a call up in my mind. It's about to be this transition. You're starting to get these fights. Explain what's happening as you're going through. Explain the difference on what's happening now versus then. Kind of give my dragons, my listeners, the understanding of what's going through as if we were there with you, a fly on the wall. Tell us about that.
Well, for me, man, just I was just training every day. I was training every day, trying to find people, trying to find the best people that I could train with every day. And I mean, it's weird, man, because it's almost like it was a dream. Like there are certain phases in your life, and each phase is it's different for you. It's a different time frame, so you're a different person in each phases of your life. And back then, man, it's weird, man, because that whole time back then seemed like a dream. I'm not really doing this. So now
Wow.
looking back, I've never really had somebody pose the question to me to have me look back at that particular time period. But then I was looking for the best people to train with,
Right.
um, and it really didn't matter where they were. I was training with I've trained with Guy Mesger. I've trained a little bit with Tito Ortiz. I've trained with Rampage. Um, I've
Wow.
trained with I've trained with Saxon Janjira out of Dallas. I mean, I've like so many people that I've trained with, man. And it was weird because I come from a small town. I come from Sherman, Texas, very small town, and it was only a few people that were doing it back then. And I had to get with like I even got with some traditional karate dudes who did like the PKA style kickboxing. I'm like I
Yeah.
was trying to get it. I was trying to get it all, man. I was trying to
Right.
get every little bit of help I could. And the first dude that I actually hooked up with that was really really big on the scene and doing things, and he was big in Texas MMA, and he was black, was Eve Edwards.
Wow.
That
Wow.
that that was a dude that I looked up to, and we ended up having to fight each other. It's funny. We ended up having to fight each other.
Wow.
But yeah, that was a dude I looked up to, and I was thinking to myself, one day, man, I want to train with that dude. I'm like, I'm gotten everything that I can get from these people out here, but one day I want to train with that dude, and that ended up happening. So he was the most relevant dude that I had started training with early in my career.
Did you feel like during that time period, um, like it just seems so weird now? Because I remember when I first started Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, it just felt like the secret art that nobody had access to and
Hmm.
nobody knew about. So no matter what, even if you had like that stand up, like where I'm from, boxing in St. Louis, Missouri, People know boxing. This boxing was normal, but martial arts for a black kid, like I got my love. That's why I've named my podcast "Enter the Last Dragon" from growing up watching Bruce Lee, and
Yeah.
then there was this brother Bruce Leroy. I was like, that's me. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it wasn't normal to love martial arts. That wasn't normal. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
now I felt like when I started Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and my start was in 2007. I just think back even then it was just like, and that's way after. It's still it felt fresh, brand new, and nobody hardly knew it compared to what's known now. It's like it
Yeah.
seems like everybody knows it. So I can
Yeah.
only imagine you in 2002, 90 world, almost like
Yeah.
you a part of the society. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like shoot boxing, catch wrestling. Yeah, all of that stuff, man. It was so brand new back then, man. It's. I remember seeing a dude that was so swole. I'm like, that dude look like he'll kill somebody.
Right.
My my homeboy, I want to say this dude was probably about 215, 220, rocked up dude, muscled up dude. And my homeboy was like 160 pounds, maybe soaking wet, thin dude. I'm like, ain't no way you finna beat that dude's spawn. Triangle choke the dude out. It was crazy. It was crazy. I'm like, all right, I'm sold. I'm sold on that.
Right. So how do you? So let's go to the transition now. Okay. So we got up to the third fight. And next, tell me what happens there. Let's go to. I'm in the UFC now. What's happening next?
So this is before or after Lawler.
This is before Lawler, right? Like right during that time period.
All right, my first fight was against a guy named Zach Light, D1 wrestler, All American, and he trained with Tito.
Tito Ortiz. Okay.
Yeah. So he was my first fight, and what really put me on in the eyes of the UFC and the promotion and the world was they knew me as a kickboxer. I submitted the dude by armbar in the first round.
Whoa.
So that was the first time people was like, okay, this dude is doing everything. He's a prolific striker and he's working on his ground game.
Wow.
But what's so funny is the submission I caught him in, we had specifically worked that submission the night before in training.
Wow.
And he put me in a position, and it was where I was gonna start walking the fence. And if he kept control of the back of my neck, all I had to do is spin, and my legs are right there to take his arm.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to walk the fence, and he's still holding my neck. I'm like, this is exactly what we did last night.
Wow.
So I spun, took his arm, boom, that was it. So additionally, my initial contract with the UFC was, I was under the understanding and under the impression was, okay, we're going to sign you to this 3-fight deal. We're going to build you up, and then we're going to take it from there. So my first 3 fights was supposed to be a build-up, right? So after I submit this dude, they matched me with the former champion, Carlos Newton.
Wow.
Like, how was this a build-up for my career? You're gonna match me with the former champion. That don't make that.
Wow.
That don't make. So at the time, Robbie Lawler was really hot at the time. He was smashing everybody.
Right.
I was like, nah, I don't want to fight that dude. Let's fight this up and coming kid because he's up and coming in the UFC. I'm brand new to the UFC. Let's fight this up and coming kid. So they told me, you don't have to fight Carlos, but if you don't, we don't know when we're going to bring you back. So now I'm in the situation. I'm doing this full time. I'm not doing it part time. And
Right.
the money was small change. And the money was small change at the time. So it's like, okay, I can't not fight because I'm relying on this income. This is my income. This is what I do.
Right.
So I was like, I'm gonna do it this time. I'll fight Carlos, but I'm gonna need to get that other dude if I fire Carlos right now. I said, because they've completely gone from what they said they were gonna do. We were gonna build your career.
Right.
Nah, you ain't building nobody by putting them in the second fight of their contract in with the former world champion that just lost his belt. He just lost his belt to Matt.
That was a setup all day. That's
Yeah,
just crazy.
yeah, yeah. So that's what happened with that. I lost that fight with Carlos. So this is the second fight. So in my eyes, I got a 3-fight deal. They already got an issue with me for raising the stink about not wanting to fight Carlos Newton, right? So now
Yep.
I'm already kind of a bad taste in the company's mouth. So now the next fight, they give me Robbie Lawler. Like, bro, he killing everybody. He's 7-0. I think he's 7-0, 8-0 at the time. I don't remember. But he knocking off everybody.
Right.
Veterans, new dudes, he knocking off everybody. So I'm thinking in their eyes, they give me this matchup because it's the last fight on my contract. Robbie killing everybody. He gonna kill this dude. It's his last fight on the contract. We don't have to bring him back. We done with him. I smashed Robbie. Now it's a wrench in the motor.
It's a wrench.
It's a wrench in the motor. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. He wasn't supposed to do that.
That wasn't supposed to happen.
So now, third fight. I'm brand new to the UFC. Remember, I'm brand new. It's my third fight. So guess what they offered me for my next fight?
What is that?
Robbie's teammate, Matt Hughes, for the title.
See, that's sick. That's the next setup, right? That's the next setup.
Yeah. So me being the type of person I am, nah, bro, you ain't finna do me like that again. So I'll be your hoe one time. I was your hoe one time for Newton, okay, but I'm not finna do it again. So they offered me, well, the next tier on the pay scale. My first contract was 2-2, 4-4, 6-6. So I made 4,000 for the Zach Light fight minus some deduction, so it's less than that. It was actually less than $4,000.
Golly, that just don't make no sense.
And so then I go up to fight Newton, the former champion for 4,000 and 4,000. This former champ. So I lose that fight. Guess what? Less than $4,000 again. Right? So now because I lost that fight, when I fight Robbie, my pay again is 4 plus 4. Doesn't go up.
That's crazy.
Only way it goes up is if you win.
You're right.
So now I'm in my third fight fighting Robbie Lawler for 4-4. Okay. I beat him last fight on my contract, so we had to do a new contract for the title fight.
You should be. I would assume you should get way significantly more, right? It's a title fight.
You would think because now 2-2, 4-4, 6-6. That was the first tier back then.
Yeah.
So then after that, it was going to be 8-8, 10-10, 12-12.
Okay.
That's just for regular fight.
Right.
Not for a title.
Right. Exactly.
So now they offered me 8-8 to fight Matt for the title, which was basically the second tier of just a regular contract. Second tier.
That by itself, I understand it's a big. There's no way, man. What was Matt getting at that time? You think? What was the title fight getting? What was they getting? What do you think?
Matt was getting 50 and 50.
Oh, hell no! And they want to give you 8 and 8 for that fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even if they said 25 and 25, that'd have made more sense. That's just crazy.
We counter offered at 25 plus 8.
And they said no?
Said no. We wanted to Like we didn't want to hit him like that at 25 and 25. Like that's cool. Nah, just give me 25 up front. Make 25 my guarantee. I'll
Right.
do 25. I'll do 25 plus 8. That was a reasonable counter offer to me. They said no. So I said, peace.
That's just
Ah,
crazy. That's
But see,
crazy as hell.
but see, the difference between me and some of these guys today is they won't do that.
Right.
That's why a lot of them are mad at the position that they're in right now because they won't step up for themselves. They have to come together collectively if they want to change the scope of the game. All these fighters are complaining about getting paid, but not one of them will say, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to fight.
Right.
Because there's another dude of lesser stature, lesser experience that will jump up in that spot and say, well, if he won't do it, I'll do it. But if they want to see something change about
That's
their pace,
crazy.
they need to come together collectively. Because
That that so
the show don't run if you ain't got no fight.
if you ain't got no fighters, that just my mind is just blown right now just thinking about. And I've talked to people who are even in bare knuckle fighting championships, and I talked to them dudes talking about, dude, I made more money in BF in bare knuckle than I made as an MMA fighter, professional fighter, and I'm just sitting back thinking to myself like I'm amazed. Now I understand it's a business, but it's a risk level when you putting your body through that much. Like the compensation needs to, you know what I'm saying? And like you say, the only way for them to really be able to make that change, it's gonna have to be a shift. At least
Yeah, yeah.
thinking about it, you know what I'm saying? So what's your next transition? You said peace now. You out of there. What happened next? What happened next?
I went to kickboxing. I was
Is
kickboxing. I was kickboxing overseas.
is that how you end up fighting George St. Pierre? How did you end up with a fight against GSP?
Okay, the fight with GSP. This is after I left the UFC. This is after I left. Told them deuces, I'm out. Y'all ain't finna pimp me. I'm not your hoe. You're not finna pimp me. So I said I'm out. So I did a couple of kickboxing matches in Australia. It's like, all right, this is a chance for me to see the world, do something different. I'm like, all right, I'm with that. So then the fight with GSP gets offered. They at 7-0 maybe at the time. Hold up, I can look right now. Nah, he was 4-0. 4-0 at the
Wow.
time.
Wow.
4-0.
Hold
So
on. So this is a big deal. I got to let my Dragons know. Dragons, just so you know, George St. Pierre is one of the premier fighters that everybody ranked and felt like he was one of the epitome fighters, like the fighter. He is that dude when it came to UFC, and like he just basically came through and just like helped propel the sport and the UFC's name brand to a whole nother level. So people got really excited about George St. Pierre. People just know the name. You might not know him if you're a new listener. Do some history. My man Pete Spratt is now has the opportunity to go against this guy who becomes just on his career. Go ahead and talk to that.
yeah. So he's 4-0 at the time. I'm 6-4. Um. So now I'm like George St. Pierre, like so. I kind of check him. I find a little bit of footage of what I can find. I'm like, all right. I mean, it's a risk, but at the time it's like if I was going to get back in the UFC, I couldn't take any losses. So the first matchup, I get to Montreal. Stay before the fight with the weigh-in. We having a press conference. Come to find out, GSP can't fight. Got a bad infection in his knee.
Wow.
You could have told me this before I came out here.
Right.
You knew he had an infection in his knee. You knew the fight wasn't gonna happen, but why fly me out here for that?
Right.
So it was cool. I mean, me and GSP was cool, man. We've always been cool. And we even hung out that particular fight. that didn't happen, we even hung out after.
Yeah.
So he was real cool, man. He took me out or whatever, and it was cool. So then the rematch is set. I want to say that fight was probably set for January, March, maybe like March, February or March. That fight was set. So now we've got the rematch set up for May. But during that time, I get a call from the UFC to fight Kyle Parisi.
Wow.
So me being a dude that I am, I'm already sour with these dudes. I'm like, it's like, yeah, we got you a fight with Kyle Parisi if you want to take that fight. So me being the honorable dude that I am, I'm like, nah, man, I'm signed to fight this other cat on this other promotion, and I'm gonna stick to my word, and I'm gonna fight this dude for this other promotion. Like, you're not gonna drag me over there, like, nah. So I fight GSP. That fight happens. I fight him. He beats me and whatnot. Then they give him the fight that they were offering me.
It's crazy.
So they bring him right in after I lost to him, and so that's how he got his shot in the UFC.
Dude, just think about how you impacted like, even though you didn't get, there might not be no UFC to where it's at right now if you didn't have that competition. Like, just to think about, who knows what could have happened, what direction things could have gone.
Yeah, like, say I don't take that fight and I go back to the UFC. It might take GSP another year or so to even get in.
And it's a whole different change up in the UFC dynamic in general.
Yeah.
That's a big concept, man. Like, dude, you've impacted the sport times 10. So I'm thinking to myself, like, when I wanted to ask you a question, I'm thinking to myself, like, man, the toughest question I really wanted to ask you, what would you tell your younger self? You right now, what would you tell your younger self at that current point? What's something that you would be like, this is my advice to you, young Pete. Listen up and listen well. What would you say?
Oh, I tell myself you did the right thing. Still.
I love that.
Still, yeah.
I love that.
I did what was best for me at that particular time. It might not have worked out exactly how I wanted, because I would have preferred to beat the dude. But now speaking on terms of the way you've diagnosed it, man, I changed history.
It changed. Think about this, dude. I promise you. Think about that. Like, reason why the UFC is where it's at to a certain degree. So you had BJ Penn, you had Matt Hughes, you have GSP, you have all these dynamic fighters who, in my mind, that was just taking the sport like this and just continuously. I mean, literally. You have Rampage. Dude, these are people that you competed against. Rampage and what's my man name? Oh my God. What you
talking about with
him
the
and Chuck Liddell? I'm talking about Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell.
Yeah, Chuck.
Dude, there was, you were in this era. I mean, you really look at it. You was in this era that people really, it's almost a golden era of UFC is almost what I would kind of want to put it at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you directly impacted it. Like, really think about that.
Yeah.
Like, all right. So now, how did you get to the Ultimate Fighter? How did that happen?
Okay, so this is a crazy story too, right? So now I've decided I'm going to retire. I'm done. So I took a fight. I wanted to fight back in the States because I had been overseas. Fighting. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna retire from this MMA stuff. So I take a fight for this promotion in Fort Worth. Can't remember the name of the promotion right now. It'll probably come to me after we even get through. But right. and so guess who I'm fighting though for this promotion? Guess who I'm fighting? A young Matt Brown.
Oh my God, dude.
I'm fighting a young Matt Brown.
That's crazy.
I want to say the promotion was IFL, I think. But anyway, so my opponent is a young Matt Brown, right? So I'm at weigh-ins. I get a phone call from my manager. I get a missed call from my manager. Like, let me call him back real quick. Like, what's up? He's like, they want you to do the Ultimate Fighter. Huh? I'm like, man, I'm finna retire. What you talking about? He's like, nah, bro. They're doing a season where they bring back guys that's already been in the UFC for a shot at the title. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to think about that. So one of my mentors in the game, one of my coaches, Saul Solis, who he was Tito's trainer, trained Mark Kerr, trained Kevin Randleman,
Wow.
trained me. It was a monster of dudes he was training back then. We were doing that whole Jackson's thing out of Houston, Texas, before Jackson was doing Jackson. It was crazy.
Man.
We had a crazy squad. Saul Solis, Houston Metro Fight Club. He was just on the season prior with Chuck and Tito.
Okay.
He was one of Chuck's coaches. I mean, one of Tito's coaches. So I called him. I'm like, he the only person I know that had experience on the show. So I called him. I'm like, yes, Saul, man, they calling me talking about they want me to do this Ultimate Fighter thing. He said, bro, if you don't listen to anything I ever tell you in life, listen to this. He's like, do the show. I'm like, all right, I'll do the show. So I hang up with Saul. I called my manager, Savannah. I was like, all right, yeah, I'll do it. I'm in. What we need to do. He's like, somebody from the Ultimate Fighter is going to call you. Mind you, I'm at weigh-ins. I'm getting ready to weigh in for a fight.
That's crazy.
They call me. They say, I heard you're down to do the show. I'm like, yeah, I'm down to do it. So they tell me, say, all right, look, we're going to fly you in on Tuesday. We're going to do we're going to do your medicals. We're going to do your bio. We're going to do all of this stuff. Your interview, everything. We're going to do all that. We're going to fly you in on Tuesday and do that. Say, in the meantime, I know you got a fight tomorrow. So don't get banged up for your fight.
Wow.
And we'll see you in Vegas on Tuesday.
Wow.
Yeah. So I go, I beat Matt Brown. And then next thing you know, Tuesday I'm headed out to Vegas to do my preliminary work for the Ultimate Fighter.
That's insane. So at this time now, you've already fought in the UFC. You already go on to a show that's like gaining massive amount of popularity. So your name is already like people know who you are.
Yeah.
And you still, yeah. I mean, they know who you are. And it's like, dude, you got all these things that's happening. Where did you anticipate things to go next? Because your mind was retired. Now you like, yeah, I'm back in. They pulled me. I'm trying to get away, and they pulled me back in. So now it's like, tell us that transition.
So yeah, my issue was, I had been doing kickboxing the last couple of years anyway. So yeah. I wasn't training no kind of mixed martial arts. I was just straight stand up. But I'm like, I gotta punch his chin. I catch somebody, knock him out. There you go.
Right.
So at this particular point, I'm like, all right, I get back in. I get on the show. I'll be seen nationwide for weeks at a time.
Right.
And I mean, publicity wise, PR wise, I mean, it was a win-win for me.
Exactly.
So, I'm just like, all right, I'll take the opportunity. I was like, I don't expect to win the show because I haven't been trained in MMA. I don't expect to win the show, but it's still gonna be a good opportunity for me and for my career. If I want to continue to do this.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it was a win-win, man. Like, yeah, I get to be on TV. People get to see me. They get to, learn about me, learn about my life, and there you go. I mean, I've seen the first 3 seasons and how it's done for the careers of those guys on those first 3 seasons. So, I mean, honestly, it was a no-brainer. But I had that sour taste in my mouth with Zuffa and the whole promotional aspect of them, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to mess with them, but Saul said, do it. It's a great opportunity for me, so that's what I did.
How do we so this is the part where, because my podcast is geared towards, I mean, I don't discriminate, but my podcast is geared for black people. I want
Mhm.
us to be successful in this sport of martial arts, in this fighting world, in what we do as a business. So thinking about this transition that even the UFC happens, and it's like all of a sudden you sell the UFC and it becomes this $1 billion business that is now transpired to what it is today.
Yeah.
Let's go into that deep dive on the business side of it. Like where do you see the game has, where it came from to where it is now, and where do you see the biggest opportunity?
I mean, it's that's a crazy question in the fact that the UFC looks out for the UFC. So there's only a few guys that's really making a decent amount of money.
Right.
If you look at boxing, even some of the say the B level guys.
Yeah.
You got your A level. You got your A listers. You got
Deontay
Canelo.
Wilder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why you got that A list tier, right?
Right.
Then you have that tier that's below that. They still making $1 million
Millions
at
of
least.
dollars. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So and then you look at the same thing with the UFC. You got your A listers, Conor McGregor, killing it. He's
Killing.
making more money than anybody.
Right.
Conor. And then you got Jorge Masvidal. He ain't making kind of money, but look
Right.
how long he's been in the business. This dude
Crazy.
has fought everybody, and he just now getting to the point to where he's making $400,000 or $500,000 guaranteed.
That's crazy.
You know
That's
what I'm saying?
insane. Yeah, that's
G-
a true statement.
GSP was killing it. I don't even think Matt Hughes was making a large amount of money like that, like you would expect him to make.
Yeah.
Chuck made 25 million over his career with the UFC. Um, Tito was making quite a bit of money. Wasn't boxer money, but he was
Right.
making quite a. So
So you think it would
unless
be difficult? You think it's just like it's just very difficult, or should there be to own? Like, how do we own some of this sport that we primarily dominate? Like, like I think about boxing. Like here's the basic part. So like boxing back in the day, Jack Dempsey, who was all those boxers from like the first before Ali, it was Leonard Robinson. Sugar Ray Robinson. There we go.
yeah,
But like, and then you was like so it went to Ali, Frazier, and then all of a sudden it was just like, okay, you saw Golden Boy along with Bernard Hopkins, but you saw diverse members saying, or even Don King saying, okay, I'm finna carve out what we dominate as black individuals. We
yeah,
dominated boxing, right?
yeah.
How do we get our feet in now before it's like 50 years down the road, before it's just like we didn't figure it out? You know what I'm saying? Like what I'm just thinking about it. Like,
I mean technically, this has been a white man's sport almost from the
true,
jump. The the
true.
Brazilians the Brazilians created the concept, but it was that white dude that had the money putting it into the concept,
I
right?
feel that. Right.
So, I mean, honestly, we need some multimillionaire African Americans that will, first of all, consider the risk that it's going to take to have to be able to get involved with the sport. Because Dana and the Fertitas, they bought the company at $20 million, and basically it was dead back then.
Right.
It
Right.
was dead, but they took the chance, and then they sell it for 3.4 billion.
It's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
Like
crazy.
there were several times that they almost completely shut the UFC down
Right.
because they were losing money. I mean, there's not a lot of people that's going to continue to lose money and not shut a business down.
Right.
They
That's
could,
true.
they could kind of see that this thing might take off, so they were willing to take that risk. I tell you like this. I don't know if you ever remember when Mark Cuban was promoting.
No, it's not.
Okay, he did 2 shows.
That's not. He did
Yeah, he
two. You
did.
said.
He did 2 shows. I fought on both of those shows. 2 shows. He lost a ton of money on the promotional aspect of it, being
Wow.
being the promoter and the money guy. Mark Cuban's what? He's a billionaire, right?
Billionaire. Yeah.
He chose. He had his media company, HDNet. So he had his media company. So for
Actually,
him,
I do remember that. I do remember the story now.
yeah,
Because he was the dude, and this is 99 or something, and he had his own web. He tried to do his own
yeah,
website, and it was supposed
yeah,
to be the live stream. I remember it 100%. It
yeah,
just clicked in. I'm
yeah,
with you now.
yeah. So he did his 2 shows. He lost money on both of those shows. So he's like, I'm not gonna keep promoting and keep losing money. It's a
Right.
smart business decision for him. Now he's a billionaire.
Right.
If anybody could take the risk, he could have took the risk.
And right. Exactly. Exactly.
But he was like, nah, I'm not gonna keep losing money. So what he did, was with his media company, he saw the niche for where MMA needed to be put on national TV or be able to be seen. So
Exactly.
he's like, so now I'll defer my costs. I'll let these promotions promote their shows, but guess what? I'll air it on my network.
On my network, broadcast.com, whatever I think it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now I ain't got to be losing money.
Yep.
I can. There's production team. We put our production team to these different shows. We put these shows on our network, and we'll gain an audience, and that's how I'll get my money. People will start subscribing to HDNet, and that's how I'll get my money back.
So I look at now, even now, to last night's fight, you saw the big fight, Colby Covington. This is for a title fight. To me, it was a lot of controversy, even during that fight. And people don't, this is the part that's so ugly about America to a certain degree. This is why I kind of want us to be able to carve our own little space out and be able to make profit off of what's happening. At the beginning of that fight, rounds 1 through 2, they kept screaming USA,
Yeah,
USA.
yeah,
And I'm thinking to myself, like, are y'all some idiots? Like, he's lived here. Like, what are y'all talking about? And I feel like somebody woke up and said, wait a second, I think he is American. Like, hold on, he's just representing. And they woke up, and all of a sudden you see at the end of that fight, they start screaming, Kobe. You know what I'm saying? So even that dynamic, I'm just like, dude, look at the stuff we have to deal with on ignorance.
I thought the exact same thing.
Ignorance, man. And so, and if you really look at it, by the time up to round 4 during that fight, in their mind, they wanted. I feel like they was leaning on Kobe because they kept talking about. They was making these little statements like, "Well, according to unofficial cards, he landed more by that time. He had basically landed more shots, even though there was some more power." But that goes perception to the judge. It can go either way, and that's always been a controversy. There's power.
Yeah. And
that more I control the ring, control the fight, win over the amount of landed punches. And that's always been that. Every Mayweather fight has been like that. It's been that conundrum when it goes all the way. So I'm so happy. He finished that fight. Because I ain't got no heart to pull out. You know what I'm saying? Like I would have been going crazy. That's the way I was feeling, man. Did you tell me your feelings of what the game is now? So the UFC now, just seeing what you know just seeing what you see and knowing what you know about the UFC, give me some insight on your feelings about what's happening right now and what young men who are fighters should be thinking about as a
I mean,
fighter.
first of all, they the number one thing that as a fighter that they should be looking at is their worth to the promotion.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if you as a fighter are not with the promotion, there is no promotion.
Mm.
So you have more strength and power than you really think you do. But again, that has to come as the fighters come together collectively. It can't be one dude, two dudes, 10 dudes, 15 dudes. I want to say they got over 500 people on the roster.
Right.
If you get 500 people on the roster to say, look, we ain't going to fight again until this changes, UFC ain't got no choice.
They got to wake up.
If they ain't got no fighters to put on the show, they ain't got no choice but to concede to the demands or whatever the fighters are looking for, because they need better pay. They need health care. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a lot of things, or they don't even have to provide health care if they pay them enough that they can pay their own health care.
That's
You know what I'm
right.
saying? 'Cause
Yeah.
there's a majority of fighters that still got day jobs.
It's crazy.
You know, I mean, look at the recent situation with Liz Carmouche. She basically got let go because she was too good. They need younger fighters to build up and to build that division, that particular women's division. And she was just beating up other than champions, she was beating up everybody else. So they're like, how are we gonna build anybody if we got this gatekeeper
That's
that
been
that can't get over the hump to get the title, but she's killing all these young talents. She got to be out of the way so we can build a new narrative in this division and build some new people. That's cold. That's cold blooded.
that's cold as hell. That's just craziness.
You get let go because you're too good. You're not you can't get over the hump to get the title, but you killing everybody else, and that's weakening your division because we got this gatekeeper, Liz Carmouche, that's killing everybody else, but she can't win the title. So what do we do with her?
Let her go. That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. So what are you doing now? What are you doing now as far as because I know you doing and shout out to my boy Travis for hooking this connection up and making this work. But what's going on now with you in the fight world? So people.
So I mean, I'm a part of the committee with the Mixed Martial Arts Fighters Association, MMAFA. I don't know if you've heard of it or whatnot, but you know that there was there's kind of us, and then what's her name, the chick that just went to Bellator. Um, that's how insignificant she is to me because she left our group to spearhead her own group or whatever. But basically, you know, we're just trying to educate fighters on their rights and things that need, because the scope, mixed martial arts isn't, MMA isn't a sport yet.
Right.
It's not a sport because there's some things that need to be changed in order for it to be considered a sport.
Right.
I mean, the thing that protects boxers is the Muhammad Ali Act, and so when
Say
it
that
comes,
again. Say that again. That's important for the listeners. The things that protects boxers, or say that again. Say that one more time.
the things that are in place that protect boxers is the Muhammad Ali Act,
Yeah.
and that's back when Don King was raping fighters for money. You know what I'm saying? He did it to Tyson. He was doing it to Ali and whatnot. And that's basically where the promoter controls everything.
Right.
So if you look at the structure of MMA right now, Um, when people talk mixed martial arts or MMA, regular people or the casual fan say UFC. Now, UFC is a promotion. UFC is not the sport.
It's not the sport. That's true. That's
UFC,
facts.
oh, you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
They are promotion. They are not the sport. So there was an argument on Facebook the other day. Dude posted a question: is UFC bigger than boxing? What do you mean? UFC is not a sport.
It's not a sport.
The proper question would have been: is MMA bigger than boxing?
Exactly. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, and that's how the UFC has geared the public to think. They first off they want to consider it a league. So now what they've done is they put you in these uniforms, these Reebok uniforms. But as participants of that league, you don't get the same benefits that other, say, league employees get.
That's crazy.
No, you're an independent contractor. So why do I have to wear this stuff that you are providing to me?
Right.
If I'm an independent contractor, I should be able to wear my own stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they want you to believe that the UFC is a league and it's not a league. So the structure of mixed martial arts is completely different and needs to change. The UFC controls the fighters. They control the rankings.
Wow.
And they control the belt.
Wow.
That's illegal.
Wow. Okay, we dropping some nuggets. Every professional fighter, y'all need to be tuning in. You're getting some nuggets right now. Like, really think about this as a business, from the business perspective. If you are a true fighter out here right now, you may not have had to come to this right now, but at some point in your career, you might run up against a scenario, whether you get into the UFC or you've exited the UFC, where this impacts you directly. He's dropping nuggets. Please listen. I'm sorry. Keep going, my friend. This is a big deal.
So, I mean, if you think about it, look at the other promotion. Not often do you hear fighters complaining about treatment from other promotions. One FC, Bellator, you don't hear nobody complaining about how they're being treated over there. But it's people are constantly complaining about how they're being treated at the UFC. So again, we got UFC. They control the fighters. They have all the fighters on contract, which is cool. I mean, as a promoter, you should have a roster of fighters as a promoter,
right?
But you shouldn't be able to control the rankings. So that means you can do whatever you want to do as far as matchmaking, because you control the rankings as well as the title. So now that's why you have all of these fighters that are jumping ahead of the curve to get the money fights, and then they put on this fake trophy as a title to bring the viewers in to buy the pay-per-views, like the BMF. BMF.
Yep.
That was a trophy.
That was a trophy. The bad money. I enjoyed the entertainment. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
it was great entertainment.
Yeah. but that was a trophy. That wasn't legit.
It wasn't legit. It didn't mean nothing. And that's the crazy part. If you really even if you just look back, dang, I'm sorry, man. You just got me excited about even the thought about that, because that Nate Diaz return was 100% built that up. There was no Masvidal conversation. I mean, Masvidal did what's the dude that just retired? He knocked him out on the fastest KO. The dude, the Mizzou dude. He was in Bellator or One FC or whatever. He undefeated, just retired. Masvidal knocks him out in the first round, and he got rear naked by.
You talking about Ben Askren?
Say it again. Ben Askren. There we go. Ben Askren. So Masvidal did handle Ben Askren. I give him that, but I swear it was more excitement from that build up with Nate Diaz. And
Yeah.
Nate Diaz threw that. Nate Diaz did what you did. He threw that wrench in there when he came back on short notice and won that fight. And they was like, wait a second, Nate Diaz wasn't supposed to win that fight. And it was kind of like this big build up BMF, a fake belt that everybody got pumped up about. Everybody was talking about that. Like,
bruh, it cost $50K to make that belt. I don't want. Give me that money. You spent $50,000 on this fake belt. Now give me that 50 G so I can put that in my family's mouth.
Right, man. That's real. That's real.
So, but yeah, man. I mean, you look at what GSP was retired for like a couple of years, and he goes and fights for the middleweight title.
It's crazy.
In boxing, if you don't fight the mandatory within a year, they stripping you.
Right.
That's because the belts are controlled by somebody else. The belts have their own individual organization, WA, WBO, WBC, IBF, all of that. They control their own rankings. So they say, okay, this is here's our rankings. Here's the number one challenger. Like somebody is right now, they talking about they gonna strip if they don't. Joshua, WBO. If he don't fight,
Anthony.
If he don't fight number one, they're gonna strip him. He's got two mandatories, I think, with the WBO and the WBA. So now they're gonna have to figure out, okay, which mandatory is he gonna face, and can we get the number one challenger for the other organization to say, okay, I'll hold off so you don't get stripped and let you fight this other mandatory. Now you got to come back and fight me, the other mandatory.
Wow.
But now if you don't fight the mandatory, you get stripped. Now they ain't creating no interim title. Like exactly. You get a belt, you get an interim shot, you get an interim shot. You can't fight next week. You get an interim shot, like the UFC is doing. All these interim belts are unnecessary.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you can't fight the mandatory within a year, then you need to be stripped, and somebody else needs to fight for that time.
Man, dude, this is you, dude. I'm telling you. So MMAFA. That's your organization name, right?
Yeah, mixed martial arts fighters.
And that association, that organization is geared and built around helping fighters, don't matter what organization you're a part of, LFA, UFC. What about the other organizations like Bare Knuckles Fighting Associates? Is any connections with that or any other, or is it all just mixed martial arts only?
It's all mixed martial arts.
Okay, now understandable. So that's great news for fighters out there.
Yeah, our initiative is to get the Muhammad Ali Act to cover mixed martial arts as well.
That's awesome.
That's our man. I've been to DC lobbying Congress for this.
Wow.
I've been to DC. Several of us have been to DC. There's Randy Couture, Kung Lee,
Nathan,
John Fitch. Like it's a bunch of us, man.
That's amazing.
A bunch of us that's fighting for fighter rights. I mean, we do it primarily behind the scenes. Like if you follow us on Twitter, you'll see a lot of information that we put out there for the fighters. We've got a Q&A that we have for fighters that's probably got about 400 or 500 fighters in it that, have any kind of questions on, how we can educate them in certain situations and things that's going on with the sport. But, a lot of fighters are resistant to go against the engine. You know what I'm saying? The engine UFC for fear of being cut. I mean, because there's been some fighters that's been cut that's been involved with our organization.
That's crazy.
But I mean that we're not like monetarily. We don't get nothing from this.
Right. We
don't get nothing from it. The only thing we're trying to do is educate fighters to put themselves in a better position that they'd be able to take care of their families in the future. That's all that we're trying to
do. Dude, that's amazing, man. Like I think the words need to be spread. The word needs to be spread, it's real messed up if it's a situation where it's just kind of like, hey, I'm trying to get information in the UFC, even just cutting somebody on the thoughts of like this is supposed to help this person. Like I'm pretty positive if they doing that, there's some things where it's just in their mindset, it's negative towards them. But in all actuality, it becomes a situation if the fighters get on board, they have to. It's almost like get down or lay down. Like if all fighters got on board with this, which helps them, the UFC will have to conform. They would have to.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to look at the league aspect has free agency once that contract is up.
That's facts. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So basically with the UFC, it's either you sign what they want you to sign or you don't work.
That's crazy.
But they want to treat you like an employee,
like a league.
But then at the same time, they flip it on you and say, well, you're an independent contractor. So which is it? Am I going to get league union-ish benefits if I'm a part of your league? Do I get union benefits, or am I an independent contractor and I got to do my own stuff? But at the same time, you making me wear all of this stuff, and I'm not getting compensated for it. Like I remember one time I was at the UFC in Australia with one of my fighters, and we're in wardrobe, and there's a sponsor logo on his shorts, and they tell us, oh, don't worry about that logo. That's a sponsor that the UFC picked up. Well, I ain't getting no money for that.
Where our money at? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the UFC's money. You don't get none of that.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. So now I feel like we covered a lot, but I have to do a couple different things. Number one, was there an inspirational thing, fighter that you can think of, fact or fictional, that inspired you? So that way I know how to tailor my next question. What fighter, like me, I say Bruce Leroy. You know what I'm saying? Like, is there somebody that really put you in the right place that inspired you?
I mean, I think Bruce Lee is an inspiration for everybody. You know what I'm saying? But as far as, the inspiration that looking at my skin tone,
right?
Jim Kelly, son.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. That's what I'm talking about all day, right?
Jim Kelly was one of those dudes, man. That like hometown dudes. A cat named James Rapid Brown. Another a guy that I went to high school with that was cold in Taekwondo. A dude named Dietrich Spencer. He was a dude that I looked up to, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he don't know that, but we're around the same age. He don't know that, but yeah, man. I mean, it's a lot of people, man, that just coming up over the years. Like when I got back into traditional martial arts, the movie that inspired me was The Perfect Weapon with Jeff Speak.
Wow.
And that's how I got into doing American Kempo.
What you think about my guy Michael Jai White, man?
Oh yeah. Love Jai. Yeah.
So he know his stuff, right? Like it's a certain amount of actors that's just kind of like they've even talked about that with Bruce Lee. Like, hey, that dude's an actor, and but here nor there because I Michael Jai know his stuff, man.
Yeah, he's a legit martial artist. Like,
right?
He legit. Test him and find out.
So my next question is trivia. I have to put you on trivia spot right now. Name for me, because this is Roy Rob's trivia for my Dragons. Name for me five black actors that it doesn't matter what time period, just 5 martial arts action films with black actors. Name for me 5. Give me 5 on the spot.
Blade.
Check.
Well, it's not his film, but I'll take it back to him being in the film. Jim Kelly.
All right, but what movie though? Give me a movie.
Oh, Enter Dragon.
That's 2. I'm with you. I got it. Come on. 3 more.
Oh man.
Michael Jai White. You know any of his films? You got anything with him?
What is it?
I'm gonna give you Undisputed. I'll give you that. Undisputed. That's 3. Are you
did you want?
I
I was gonna
Universal
go
Soldier.
to the. Well,
Universal Soldier.
yeah,
That's with
yeah,
him. He was in that.
but I was going to the to way back, like Undercover Brother.
There we go. Okay, hold on, wait.
Yeah, I'm going Undercover Brother.
All right, okay. I'm a slide. That is not like Blade level, but I'm gonna let that slide, man. We got 4 now. You got one more. You got to give me one.
Oh
One
man,
more, man. One more. You got something.
let me think. I'm
This is
drawing a
tough.
blank.
It's tough, ain't it? Ain't it tough?
Yeah,
Hey,
it really
what's
is.
crazy? It's like that, man. It's like we got to do better, and we got some. It's some more stuff out here. I even take boxing. We'll do boxing. You can add somebody in for boxing too. Give me something with boxers in it.
I'm gonna stick
Stick
with
with martial arts. You got it. Okay.
The Last Dragon.
The last, thank you. I appreciate you. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate you. There you go. Hey, man. So, where do my people follow your story? Because I'm gonna have you on again. We ain't got enough time to peel back all the layers. Where do they
yeah.
find Pete Spratt, man? Where do they find you so they can follow you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at I am Pete Spratt. You can find me on Facebook. All you gotta do is search Pete Spratt. There'll be 2 pages come up: my personal page and my business page. Pete Spratt 2 is the actual link on Facebook. And
Perfect.
those are the spots where you can find me.
And then also, where do the fighters go to sign up and join the MMA FA?
Search MMAFA, MMAFA.com, or you can go on Twitter, MMAFA.
Perfect, man. I appreciate you. Like I said, man, just the business side of what you've been able to do for the game and what the game is evolving to. I think all the information you've been able to provide is a massive positive for where we can eventually get to. It's brothers like you that's going to make this game even better for people that look like us. So I appreciate you, brother. Keep it going. I pray that you can come back again. Hopefully with your blessing, I can get you back on. Enter the Last Dragon. Roy Robb signing out.